So today we're making puris, and these are deep fried flatbreads, and we have these as an accompaniment to meals, and a typical Sunday brunch would include puris as part of the brunch. They're quite fattening, so we don't eat them often, but they're lovely, and I do recommend that you try them. What you need for this is some plain flour, and this is about 8 ounces, 8 to 10 ounces of plain flour. And basically I'm going to form a dough using my fingers as a prong. Okay, so we're adding water to that, plus 2 tablespoons of cooking oil, and you bind this together to form a dough. So can you see it's all binding together? And now I'm going to add some more water. And the idea is to form an elastic dough. Okay, so that's still not completely binding, so I'm going to add a bit more water to that, and I think that should be enough. Drop more, as you can see here on the bottom. Still some. There we are, it's all coming together now. And the idea is to knead it until it forms an elastic dough. Can you see? So, and then before we can make it into the puris, we're going to leave it to rest for about 20 minutes in the fridge. So just give it another knead. Okay. So that's now ready to stick in the fridge. I'll leave that to rest for 20 minutes, and then I'll get back to it and start frying. Right, so the dough has been in the fridge about 20 minutes, and it should be ready to get out. And in the meantime, I've been heating the oil up, and to see whether it's at the right temperature, I'm going to throw a bit of bread in. And when it goes golden brown, I know that that's ready for me to start frying. Okay, let's get the dough from the fridge. So now you've noticed that it hasn't risen, but it's not supposed to rise. It's just let it set a bit, so it's more workable. Okay, so again, you take a little sort of, let's say ping pong, just a bit bigger than a ping pong size, roll it into a ball. Okay, another one. And these are very unhealthy, and you only eat them on special occasions. Well, we do. It's usually a Sunday brunch, and they wipe you out for the rest of the day. Okay, there. Now, once you've got 3 going, you can start shaping them into the puris. Okay, so dust it lightly, press it down, spin it out, as similar way in how to make chapatis for those of you who do make chapatis. If you find that it's a bit sticky, just dust it and then roll it out like that. Okay, you have to roll them out quite thin, because if they're too thick, then they become quite doughy, and that's not easy on your stomach. Okay, there we are. It's ready for frying. I'll do the other one. Okay, and these are lovely with chickpea curry, which I also make using masala method. And with the chickpeas you have halva, So a typical brunch would be puri, halva and chickpea curry. Okay, so that's 3 now ready to be deep fried. Okay. There we are. So now, as you can see, the bread that I threw in has gone golden brown, so that indicates to me that it's now ready. It's now at the right temperature and I can fry my puris. So you lower your puri into the oil. Okay. And it should rise to the top. You just press it lightly, like so, and turn it over. And then again, it should rise a bit. The idea is to coat it with the oil so that it cooks the flour. If you don't do that, it can be very doughy and give you a stomachache if it's not cooked through properly. Okay. So you just fry them gently until they take on sort of a light golden brown colour. Okay. Now it's very important to drain these off, because if they retain too much oil they become sickly. So the idea is for them to be quite flaky and crisp and not soggy. There you have the puri. Another one in. That's ready to put in. And you just wait for it to rise to the top, as it is doing, see? And then you just tap it gently and flip it over so that it's cooked on both sides, like that. Okay. And you want it to change colour slightly, which is an indication that the dough's cooked. As I said before, if you don't cook it properly, it's quite doughy and quite heavy on the stomach. So, there you have another puri. So these are really easy to make and very, very cheap, economical. Doesn't really take long, as you saw. Once the dough's made, you just roll them out and they're done in minutes. You see? There we are. And you want it to cover with oil. There you go. And that's done. Drain off the oil, otherwise they become too oily. Right, so when you cook the puris, you're supposed to serve them immediately, because afterwards they lose their crispness and become quite doughy and not really very nice, very oily. So it's best to have them hot off the press. Okay. There we are. It's done. And so you can't keep them really. It's best to do them as you need them. The dough you can make in advance. You can freeze the dough. You can keep it in the fridge for up to 3 or 4 days. But no longer than that, because then it will start to ferment and you get a different consistency. Okay. Ready to eat. So my kids adore these on a Sunday. They can lounge around after having a really hearty brunch, which includes the puris, halva and chickpea curry.